Hi there, I'm Lisa Ohearn-Keck from Palo Alto Prep, and I've got Lisa DiMarino, my favorite guest, here with me again. Lisa's from Pacific Wellness Center, and I think today we're going to talk a little bit about the rise in suicidal ideation, self-harm, hospitalizations, because unfortunately, whether it be social media or whatever, it's something that has just exploded. So, welcome. And what have you seen?
There is a pretty drastic increase in all of those types of suicidal ideations and behaviors and self-harming behaviors. And you know, there's lots of ideas on why that is and what's happening and where that's coming from. But I think as a parent, you're really looking at, but what do I do? Right. What do I do if I think this is going on with my kid? And I would say number one is I take everything seriously because you don't know. Right. Here's the reality. We don't know. We can say, I think that this kid's going to be okay and they're just like having a rough day and kind of blowing off steam, but we don't know. And the thing that we do know about suicide is when people make attempts, it's often incredibly impulsive, right? So they could have been fine all day and then they have a 10-minute period. Right. So I think the bottom line is if this is something that you're seeing, that you're wondering about, that you even have an intuition on, I would jump on that. Maybe that kid is not telling their parents, but maybe they're telling their best friend this, right? And so now you have another 15-year-old like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to handle my own emotions. And this person that I love and care for, my best friend or my partner or my boyfriend, my girlfriend, is telling me all this stuff that they're in so much distress and they don't want to be here. And
they're afraid to tell their parents.
Right. And so now I'm feeling responsible for holding that and fixing them and solving that.
Nothing worse than teens giving each other teens therapy.
No, I mean,
you just don't have the,
right.
15 years is not going to.
And that's what I say to kids. When I have a client that either comes and talks to me about it and says how they're talking to their friends, or a friend, often what I'll have is my own client that will come to me and say, I'm really worried about my friend. What do I say to them? What do I do to them? And what I say is, hey, the first thing you learn when you go to school to be a clinician is that you have a team. I can't keep you safe. I can keep myself safe. That's about it, right? The bottom line is when you're in this level of distress and you need a higher level of care.
And I would guess to learn the skills when you're feeling like you're feeling, what's your toolbox? What do you do?
Right. So I think as a parent, the first thing you say is, as much as I love my kid, I'm not equipped to handle this on my own. Me as a therapist, I'm not equipped to handle it on my own. Right. If I have a kid in my practice that I feel is unsafe or that's telling me they're unsafe, we call parents, we call a team, we talk to their psychiatrist, right? So you need to have people that are around them to saying, what do we need to keep this kid safe in this moment?
Unfortunately, I see this a lot with Palo Alto Prep is you have a kiddo that's not going to school. And every time you say, come on, you need to get off the video games, or I'm going to take the video games, or I'm going to turn the internet off, they're like, if you do it, I'll kill myself. Right. How do you navigate that? Because again, as I think we talked before, teenage behavior, and unfortunately, that I'm going to kill myself has become, unfortunately, like almost a catchphrase. But as a parent, you're like, oh my God, maybe they will.
And here's what I would say: if the idea of going to school or the idea of coming off a video game is so distressing for you that you feel that you can't keep yourself safe, then you're in a level of distress and you need some skills to manage that. Right. So, this kind of goes along with a lot of times people are like, oh, they're just looking for attention. Okay. Then they need attention. Right. Then attend to them, right? And that's I have such it gets me so mad when I hear that phrase because I'm like, if someone's attention seeking, it's because they need attention. Yeah. That doesn't happen when your needs are being met on all fronts. Right. And this is not anything against parents because I see it in school settings, I see it in, parents, I see it in friend groups. Like this is something that I think it's very uncomfortable. Right?
I mean, I know in conversations sometimes with students at Palo Alto Prep, you've said, no, they need a higher level of care. I'm not that therapist. Right. I'm school-based and I'm relationship-based. I'm not putting words into your mouth of who you are, but, no, they need a higher level of care. And it's hard because I know we see parents sometimes that just, no, it's okay, they're okay, they're okay.
I'm always looking for who's the team that's supporting, right? So a higher level of care is absolutely you should have a school-based therapist. If your kid's struggling with school, if your kid's at that point and school is one of those places where they're in a distress, they probably need a school-based therapist. They probably need someone on campus at whatever school they're attending that's a touch point that can help them navigate whatever the issues are that are arising there.
One of the things I love about having you at Palo Alto Prep is because you see, and the other therapists see so many of our students, that you really get a touch point and you're at a place where you know kind of what's going on in that social network.
I mean, I do think that that's the benefit of having someone that's embedded right in that program is you're seeing a bigger picture. And, you know, having done this job for 29 years, I've been in practice for 29 years, I've seen a lot. So I don't, you know, even I'm pretty good at being able to see a lot of those, you know, telltale signs, even with the outpatient clients, right? I can see like, hey, you've had like 4 friendships blow up in the last 6 months, like something's going on. Let's look at that. Let's figure out where are things going wrong. And that doesn't mean you're a bad person, you're a bad friend, but it probably means there's something that's happening. Some kind of dynamic is coming up that we could really benefit from figuring out and understand. But I think as a parent, your job is to be going through all of the different options and resources as you're figuring out what does my kid need, right? When I really know my kid, and I understand them. And sometimes kids are really mad about that process. Like a lot of times kids will be like, I don't want to go to therapy.
I don't want to talk to anybody.
Right. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to talk about this.
And I'm sure you've had those kids that just sit there and do not talk.
And I'll say, one of the first things I say when I get a new client is, are you here because you want to be here, or did you get kind of pushed into it?
Unfortunately, as a parent, you're the bad guy. And even if you don't want to be their friend, and that's a whole nother story, but you're just the bad guy.
Right.
And so to have someone else to bounce things off of is...
I think it's really valuable. And what I'll say often to, you know, both parents and kids, and I'll say it usually separately because I feel like they hear it better if I say it without their parents there. But like, if you're in distress, like let's look at you're not going to school. You quit, you know, baseball. Right. You're clearly, this is not you're not in a happy place, and you don't have to talk to me about it. I don't need to be the person. In fact, I'm not the person for everyone. I'm the person for some people. Mm-hmm. And there's somebody else that's a person for other people. Right. But the bottom line is it's probably not magically going to get better on its own. I think sometimes it might be, as a parent, like you're setting a boundary. Hey, I can see you're not okay. I can tell by your functionality that there's a difference in what's going on. I'm not okay with you not being okay. So I need you to start by having a connection with somebody. Right. And I'm going to give you 3 therapists, and you're going to pick one. And you're going to figure out who feels comfortable for you. And if you don't want one of those therapists, you're going to have to come back to me and tell me what your plan is for what that's going to look like. I will say, you know, I had kids that were athletes. And so as long as they were playing and doing whatever they needed to do, that was really great. When they got an injury, oh, lordy lord, right? Just tanking, right? So being able to say, like, they kind of had a natural therapy in whatever they were getting from their sports, right? From their teammates, from getting their aggression out, from getting exercise, from, you know, developing leadership skills for them. That was probably so much more powerful than talking to some old lady would have been, right? But guess what happens when they get an injury? Then you need to replace that. When you have a kid that's in pretty serious active drug use, unfortunately,
or
often what ends up happening is you're going to end up in that residential place.
Well, and the thing about residential, and I've always been a huge proponent of wilderness, and the thing about wilderness is you're taking yourself out of the situation and you're able to concentrate on what you need to concentrate on. But the other side of that is, and I don't know if you see it so much in one-on-one therapy, is the parents need to change too. You know?
And even if it's not rooted in the home, like sometimes it's not. I mean, a lot of times I feel like parents get a bad rap, right? But there's so many parents that are working so hard and trying so hard, and they just don't know how to support a kid through a particular issue. Right. I know it's such an old, silly adage, but like the whole idea of, you know, the oxygen mask, you put it on yourself first before you put it on your kid. And I think that that's really important for parents. And I would say therapy, again, is a really great way to do that because most of us have whatever parenting skills our parents had.
Right. And our parents weren't always, you know, the best parents.
It can be super helpful for a parent to have a place where they can say, like, I'm so pissed at this kid. I know I can't show it to them, but I'm infuriated, right? Where they have a place to be able to do that and learn their own regulation skills. But I'm going to say beyond just therapy, community. Right? Having other parents that get what you're going through. Parents, who's your support? Who are the people that you can say your stuff and feel like I can say this without judgment, and they're going to, you know, have empathy and maybe also someone that's going to give me a little kick in the butt when I need it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. To be like, hey, I know you love your kid, but that's what you're doing right now clearly is not working. Yeah. Right? Like that doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you got to pick something different to try. Right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Oh my gosh, you were just so fun to have.
Well, thank you.
I think we might have to do a whole series.
I'm happy to do it. I love it here.
Lisa DiMarino from Pacific Wellness. Thanks so much.
Thank you.